It's game day here on the Buckeye Breakdown podcast on the Buckeyes Roundtable YouTube channel. Anthony Moeglin jumping in with you this morning to preview Ohio State's game against the Wisconsin Badgers. Thanks for jumping in and hanging out with me as you work through your Saturday morning before we get to kickoff of the noon slate. We have an absolute banger of a Saturday. So many good games starting right at noon, heading all the way to even a 10 p.m. kickoff. That's going to be a lot of fun. So buckle up, get excited. Hopefully you're getting all your chores done. Hopefully I'm helping you do that here this morning. And this morning we're talking Bucks, we're talking Badgers, because Ohio State's trip to Madison, Wisconsin will kick off today at 3:30 p.m. Eastern. And it does feel that Ohio State on paper is a big favorite, but if anybody watched any football last night, or if you didn't watch it last night, you woke up to it, none of that means anything. Throw all the records out the window, throw the rankings out the window, throw it all out the window, because every coach in America, or at least every coach that's favored in America, got a blessing last night as the number 2 Miami Hurricanes fell at the hands of the Louisville Cardinals at home in a game that shouldn't have been close. But not only was it close, but it did become an upset because Carson Beck goes and throws 4 interceptions. I've done it before. That is a lonely feeling, and they had a chance to go win the football game, and that day ended for Miami with that pick there and close to the red zone as they were going to try to maybe score a touchdown, but definitely were in field goal range to go tie that thing up. And what a blessing for every coach. What a blessing for Ryan Day to wake up, and that's the first thing on their team meeting. Probably already happened already, their morning meeting. The first thing on that big board was the final score of Miami losing to Louisville. Do not let that happen. And really for Ohio State fans, these last 2 weeks have been such a good reminder that it's hard to win in college football. A colleague of ours, Spencer Holbrook of On3 Sports, wrote an article earlier this week talking about, hey, just look around college football. Like Michigan lost last week, Miami lost last night. There's some teams getting beat. Notre Dame has 2 losses on the year. Texas, it didn't turn out the way it was supposed to. And each and every week, Ohio State fans get the opportunity to watch the best team in the country and watch them just win football games. I think the stat that came out this week that Ryan Day in his tenure at Ohio State has had 1 week outside the AP top 10. That's out of control. That doesn't even comprehend, in my brain, that doesn't even make sense. But yeah, it's the case. We're blessed with such awesome football, and today is another week where you can continue to see that go forward for the Buckeyes. So what does today look like for Ohio State? This is a game and an opportunity that they have to just continue rolling, right? They're playing solid football right now, I'd say, but they have the chance to just continue on that path, and they're gonna try to do that. It's obviously starts with them, and we're learning that the personality of this team is their defense. It starts and ends with what the defense is able to do, and we've seen it to this point. 8 weeks in, 2 months into this thing, this defense is just simply out of control. And it's so much fun to watch. And I wrote a piece about this earlier in the week about how good Arvell Reese is, how good Sonny Styles is, how good Caleb Downs is, and how good just in general this defense is. And how, the surprising part is that it's, you couldn't expect that after last year's team that you were going to get a better defense. You got 8 guys left for the NFL. Several of them got drafted. A couple of them were undrafted free agents. And you're like, no way that this team and this defense can be better than what it was last year. And that's just what it is, right? This defense in 2025 is better than the defense in 2024. And you're like, how does that happen? Well, you got this rare combination of guys who are the best athletes in America, but they're the smartest. And it brought in Matt Patricia, who I was very vocal about not agreeing with the hiring just because he hadn't ever coached college football before. He's been in coaching for 20 plus years, and none of them were at the college ranks. And you're like, no way he can come in and do what he wants to do and do it at a high level at Ohio State. But he's proven that, hey, I took an NFL scheme, maybe pulled it back a little bit, but didn't have to pull it back a lot, and allowed these just absolute freaks of nature to run it and to run it effectively. The difference that makes is not only does Ohio State have the best athletes on the field, but they're showing schemes that these quarterbacks just simply can't handle. They're doing things, they're changing coverages, they're coming out in different fronts. And for veteran quarterbacks in the NFL who see this and who it's their profession to study this stuff and be prepared all week for it, that's one thing. To do it against college kids who, this is all foreign stuff to them, it is impossible almost. And you're seeing the fruits of that as we've gotten to this to this point in the year. Only one team has scored over double digits against Ohio State, and that was last week against Illinois. Illinois scored 16 points, but even that 16 points was impossible. Every time a team gets into the red zone, that thing shrinks down, and Ohio State just keeps them out of the end zone. They're going to defend every single solitary blade of grass that's available to them on the field, and they're going to suffocate you. They're just going to choke you out, and it's going to be painful because, like, hey, you maybe get a first down. Like we've seen teams, we've even seen OU go down the field on their first drive, and you're like, ooh, they may have found something. And then Ohio State holds you to a field goal, and they force you to go 3 and out. Then you go 3 and out again. Then you turn it over. You're like, wait a second. You look back and you're like, we had a great first drive. Then the next 4 possessions resulted in turnovers in some way, either punts or actual turnovers. So it's been so fun to watch this defense, all throughout the year. And they've set the pace for the Buckeyes. So I'm expecting a lot more of that today. And excited to see if we notice any wrinkles that this team, employs, or if we just keep seeing the same old stuff. Arvell Reese blitzing from anywhere on the defensive line. Sonny Styles patrolling traffic at that second level. Caleb Downs coming up and making plays. Davison Igbinosun being a lockdown corner on the outside. Like, do we just continue to see the same stuff, or is Matt Patricia going to start to show you some wrinkles as we get to Penn State in a couple weeks, Michigan here at the end of the month, and some other teams in between. So we'll see how that goes, but excited to see what the defense does bring to the table today. Now, flipping it over on the offensive side of the football, I think today, while I thought 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago now was kind of an inflection point when they played Minnesota, I do think today's another possible inflection point for me because maybe when Kevin and I talked about this on our show earlier in the week, maybe this team this is what they are. Maybe this is just their personality of, hey, we're going to slow this thing down. We're going to make it really easy for Julian. We're going to use Jeremiah in certain spots. We're going to use Carnell in certain spots. We're going to try to establish a run game and see if we can get something going. And if we can't, we're just going to lull this thing to sleep and maybe pull away with a couple big plays late and win by 2 or 3 scores. Like maybe that's just the personality of this team. And we're going to learn that today. I'm excited to see what Julian gets to do on now his third big road test that he's going to have to face. Because, you go to Washington a few weeks ago, check that box. You go to Illinois last week, you check that box. Now you're going up to Madison, which it's not going to be a rowdy environment. Be shocked if it was a full stadium. And if it is a full stadium, it's because many Buckeye fans made the trip to Madison on what is a beautiful day here in Ohio. I'm not sure what it's like in Madison right about now, but not expecting a rowdy environment, but still a test to go on the road and do it. And excited to see Julian's growth today, see if we can pick out some things that he's improved upon. But what he hasn't had to improve upon is his accuracy. I love watching him throw the football when he's decisive and he gets it out on time. It's going to be on target, and you can feel it, and he does throw a beautiful ball. So I'm excited to see what he brings to the table today. And then on the outside, what are Jeremiah and Carnell going to bring to the table today? Obviously, they're going to bring, the top flight, top flight athleticism, top flight ability that they have. But will Brian Hartline unlock them? Time will tell. And then, lastly, Bo Jackson and that offensive line. How are they going to operate against what's a Wisconsin front that may not be the best, but is going to be nasty. That's the one thing about Wisconsin, regardless of how bad they are, which they are bad. We'll get to them here in a little bit, but regardless of the state of their team, they are going to fight, and they're going to try to fight for their coach. He's living on borrowed time right now, so expect to see a good effort out of Wisconsin, but not sure that even that will be enough because this Badgers team is unfortunately just bad. This is just a bad football team. They're coming off a 37-0 loss at the hands of Iowa. That's after a 24-10 loss to Michigan, who Michigan's kind of like up and down this year. They got drubbed by Alabama, and mixed in there too as a loss to Maryland. It's like those aren't 4 good losses right in a row. And their only wins this year against Miami, Ohio, which they won by 17 points. They won 17-0. So that doesn't inspire confidence. And then Middle Tennessee State, where you're like, all right, fine, got the job done, but not what you're looking for. So this Wisconsin team's just not very good. They don't do much well. They're not a good offense. They're a bad defense. And Ohio State should have their way. And the bummer of it all is that Luke Fickell's going to get caught. He's going to be the body in the crash that is found. I think he is absolutely living on borrowed time. Had it not been for Ohio State and Oregon in back-to-back weeks, I think that they would have pulled the trigger last week after that Iowa game, but not really fair to fire a coach and then give an interim like, hey, here's this new team. You got Ohio State in a couple days, and then after that you got Oregon, and then and after that you got 1 week until you play Indiana. Like this is all to say, like Wisconsin's having a tough year, but their schedule's been brutal, and so. Does really feel like Luke Fickell's on borrowed time, which does suck for the former Buckeyes. So, a lot of things, a lot of storylines to talk about today, but mostly surrounding the performance of the Buckeyes. I think Ohio State's going to be able to control what they do today. They're going to be able to determine the outcome of this game, and they should. Ohio State's playing at an elite level, and they're going to want to continue that today. So we're at the point now where I'm going to put a pick in for this one. As it sits right now, Ohio State is 25.5-point favorites. That over-under is sitting at 41.5. Now, I do think that Ohio State has shown that, hey, they can go score, and when they do go score, it's great, but they play at such a slow pace that I do think that that over is going to be in jeopardy, because I don't think Wisconsin's going to get in the end zone, and I do think there's going to be an element of respect, if you will. I think Ryan Day's smart enough to know what the situation is in Wisconsin. He's not going to want to go embarrass Luke Fickell, so. Because of that, I got my score prediction. We're gonna get a field goal in there. I got Ohio State 38. I got Ohio State 38. Ooh, well, this brings the over-under into play. If I go Ohio State 38, Wisconsin 3, that puts my total at 41. And obviously that under would hit in that standpoint. But I could see it being somewhere in the 30s, maybe low 30s, maybe 31-0, maybe 31-3. But regardless, I do have Ohio State covering the spread. And I got my final pick is Ohio State 38. Wisconsin 3. Should be a fun one. Ohio State kicks off at 3:30 p.m. out in Madison, Wisconsin. We're gonna be live all day on the Buckeyes Roundtable page. So if you've not been there, get over there. The link's right below me. roundtable.io/sports/NCAA/Ohio State. Get over there. Hit me with a follow. It takes 2 seconds to create an account. You just put your name in. You put your email address in. We don't solicit anything to you. It costs $0. We just let you know when stories get pushed out. So just jump over there. Get in there. I'm going to be live in our community section today during the game. We're going to have a game thread going, so you're going to see live reactions to plays, calls, timeouts, whatever. I'll be jumping in there. So if you're so inclined, get in there and come hang out with me as we'll be able to go back and forth as we watch the Buckeyes today. But an exciting day of college football on our hands. It kicks off here in just about 20 minutes for everybody. So dial in. Hopefully you got all your cleaning done. Hopefully you're propped up on the couch and ready to go for a very fun fall day of college football. We're in week 8. Week 8, that hurts to say. We're past the halfway point of the season, and it's going to start getting a lot more fun with a lot of games that have some playoff implications today. And we basically have a playoff game tonight in South Bend, Indiana, as that loser is going to be on the outside looking in of the college football playoffs. So much more to come here on the Buckeyes Roundtable YouTube channel. We'll be back live as the clock hits 0 here on the YouTube channel. It'll be Brennan and I breaking down what we saw today from the Buckeyes. So make sure you're tapped in there. Make sure you're hitting us up over on the channel. Thanks for hanging out with me this morning. We got Ohio State and Wisconsin, 3:30 p.m. Enjoy your day, everybody. We'll be back here on the Buckeyes Roundtable YouTube channel on the Buckeye Breakdown Podcast.